We just got back from our summer family holiday, and in the time that we were away, the whole 9 days, the business ran like clockwork as far as the delivery to our clients was concerned. However, at the same time, in the 9 days that we were away, the business grew by a total of 0 clients. We did 0 sales in the 9 days that we were away, which as a founder with huge growth goals was a massive issue to me and really stressed me out. Now, I know that as a business owner, we get involved in the service delivery, and often that's the bottleneck. But when I'm speaking to people, they're talking to me about and that I've seen myself, right? The service delivery, I need to do the final checks. I want to make sure that it's done to the standard of which it needs to be done. I need to just oversee the team and make sure that everything's right. And we kind of cling on to that. So in previous years, I've been on holiday and I have taken my laptop with me. And I've got 2 young children, and I would push them around in their prams, and then I would wait till they fell asleep and sit down at a cafe and log into the internet, do a couple of hours just overseeing things, checking things, speaking to clients. And if I didn't do that, the business would often stop. It wouldn't run without me. So on this trip, that didn't happen. I didn't need to check in with the team at all because we've got the right team in the right place, delivering the service to the right standard. But we didn't do any sales. So although I realized I've come out of the delivery as a bottleneck, I'm still very much a bottleneck in the business as far as the sales function is concerned. And my husband, who's the co-founder of the company, he does all of the lead gen and all of the appointment booking for the discovery calls. So obviously he was on holiday as well. So no appointments got booked during the 9 days that we were away too. We've spent 18 months building the business in a very intentional way, where we wanted to make sure that our service delivery was completely unbreakable. And in this video, I'm just going to explain a little bit more behind the strategy of why we decided to do that. But also then on the flip side, why 0 sales in 9 days hurt so much. And the one thing that we're going to do to ensure that that scientifically is impossible to ever happen again. We're actually going away on another trip in about 6 months' time. And by that time, not only will we be confident, as we already are and have been for a couple of years now, that the business will be able to run without us when we go away, but also that the business will actually grow whilst we're away as well. And the whole company will be able to run and grow without us having any intervention. So just a little bit on kind of the decisions that we've made in the past couple of years. We decided a couple of years ago to really start focusing in on our service delivery and to build it first to a standard where it was completely unbreakable, and then scale the sales afterwards. Just to give a little bit of context to that, we've set a goal to go from $1 million a year to $1 million a month by Christmas 2027. And we're going to be sharing it publicly as we go. So although we've not had to get involved in delivery when we've been away for the last few holidays, like I mentioned, the fact that we've gone away and had 0 sales when we're trying to hit this goal, essentially of 10xing our business over a set period of time, it showed this huge gap in the business that if we're away, the business will stop growing. On the second day of the trip, we were sat in a cafe, and it was a cafe that we'd been to in years prior. And I kind of had a real realization as far as the business running without me was concerned, because I remember specifically sitting in that cafe when my eldest was 1 or 2 years old, and I had work that needed to be done. And I felt this immense amount of pressure kind of every day of the holiday to go to that cafe, to spend a couple of hours doing work, because if I wasn't there doing the work wouldn't get done. The proof that now the business runs without us, like I've said, is the fact that we weren't there every day or any of the days with a laptop open, having to check in on the team, because we know that the way that the systems have been built as far as our delivery to our clients and to our remote professionals is concerned is absolutely unbreakable. The systems and the engines are built, so now we can confidently turn the sales volume up. Very early on in the business, because it wasn't always like this, we focused on sales. So I think it's fairly normal. You kind of start a business, right? And then you go, I wonder if we've got this product or this service that we want to sell. I wonder if we can sell it to everyone. And you just put all of your effort and energy and attention into sales, which is exactly what we did. And we built a client base, and we had our offer, and we had the service for that client base. but our delivery was super messy. We were very much in the middle of the delivery, and as a result of that, we had high churn. Now, in our business model in particular, it was super important to get our delivery spot on because we deal with people on both sides. So we have remote professionals. So we promise remote professionals career building opportunities, and they're going to work with fantastic growing companies in the UK, in the States. They're going to have the opportunities to take ownership of their role. All of these promises that we make to our remote professionals. And then on the flip side of that, we also promise to our clients that we're going to deliver these career-driven, ambitious remote professionals who are going to take ownership of their roles. We can't mess up our service, right? Because it means that what we've said we're going to sell, we're not selling if we fall short on either sides of our service delivery, being the remote professional or the clients. So when we were in those earlier days and we were making placements that weren't sticking, or we were making placements where the remote professional wasn't showing up, or where the client had wanted to hire a type of person and then had hired them and loaded them with a whole load of other work that they hadn't talked about when they'd been speaking to us, the service delivery was breaking. But more so than that, the promises that we'd been making to remote professionals and the clients were breaking, which didn't sit well with me for a million reasons. One, it was me doing the sales, talking to the clients. And secondly, on a moral and ethical level, I didn't want to sit in the middle of a company that was selling something and delivering something, or a broken version of what I was selling. So despite the fact that, of course, as a growing company, we're very ambitious, we were eager to grow. It was frustrating at times having to slow down on the growth to focus in on the delivery. But we knew if we didn't get our service delivery the very best version of it that it could be before switching on the volume for the sales to come through, then we were going to have a leaky bucket. We were potentially going to be risking our reputation. And most importantly for me, I was going to be a liar. I was going to be selling a service that I wasn't entirely confident that we could deliver. And then if I hired other people in our sales team, I was going to be asking them to sell a service that I wasn't confident that we could deliver either. So that's why almost we were forced in our business to focus on the service delivery first. And it's the best thing that could have happened, because we had to build systems in the service delivery. We had to make it into an engine, and we had to put the right people in place to be able to take over that so that they would be able to free us up to then focus on our sales systems. And that's where we are right now. So I just wanted to kind of touch on with you the 3 things that we actually did to build out that service. So firstly, we focused on client churn and client retention. How long was a client with us for? Whatever that number was, our goal became to increase it. So if a client was with us for 12 months as an average, we wanted to get it to 13, to 14, to 15, and so on. If we lost a client, we looked at the reasons as to why we had lost the client. Just focusing on that one metric is an absolute key, as opposed to focusing too much on the front end metric as far as the sales was concerned, meant that we got our retention to 97% of our clients still being with us 30 months after they first start working with us. Therefore, we know that we don't have a leaky bucket now. So when we put more volume in at the top, we know on average how long our clients are going to stay with us because of the standard of service that they are getting. Secondly, every time we did drop a client, we'd run a full investigation into why it was. And that's sometimes really uncomfortable, right? Sometimes you drop a client and it's easy to blame them. Oh, they were a bad fit, or they were a bad person or whatever it might be. But we took accountability. It didn't matter who the client was. We did a full investigation, every single part of our process. So we looked at everything from where they'd come in from, how the sales call went. We audited, and this was before AI. So we were doing this. We started doing this manually. Obviously, AI has helped with all of this, but we were doing it manually. And we were looking at when we lost clients, why we lost clients, and what we need to improve next time to ensure that we don't. And we built our whole SOPs around that as far as our service delivery was concerned, because anytime we drop a client, even if they've been with us for 5 years, 6 years now at this point, we will still run an investigation to see what we could have done to make sure that we didn't lose that client if we were to be able to work with them again in the same situation. We always take accountability for it. And then lastly, we got completely obsessed with the question, and I'm still obsessed with this question now, and so is our head of ops. The question that we ask all of the time is how do we ensure that this service is the best version of the service that it can be? How do we ensure that we are doing the absolute best by our remote professionals, the absolute best by our clients? And obviously there's been so many advances. As I record this now, it's the summer of 26, and AI has just really started kind of kicking off. So there's been so many advances, and we don't stick with our service delivery as it was 6 months ago. We're constantly evolving it. We're constantly developing it. We're constantly improving it because we're obsessed with that question. What do we need to do to ensure this is the best possible version of the service? Not compared to anyone else on the market. We don't really look too much at the competition and go compared to this, compared to that. We compare it against ourselves. We benchmark against ourselves and the best version of ourselves, and then we try to make it better. Those things that we have done mean that our engine and systems are built. Going away for 9 days and knowing that we didn't have to take a single look inside the client delivery and the service delivery engine means that it's proven that it's built to the right standard and that it can run without us. We know that we can now scale that delivery, and that was something that was super important to us. If we put volume through our systems, will our systems still deliver? For the reasons that I said earlier on in the video as to why that was important, and we now know that the answer is yes. So now for us on our journey, it's time for us to up the volume of the sales. And the way that we're going to do that is simply building our sales systems out. So building our appointment set teams and our sales teams so that my husband and I aren't the bottlenecks in those systems anymore. We've just turned ads on since we came back. So obviously that's going to put some volume through our sales systems. And we're building content for acquisition as opposed to vanity metrics. But here's the point, right, guys? We built the delivery first so that it could run consistently and so that it could run to the highest possible standard without us. Now we're upping the volume because we know that our offer will stand. We know that we can deliver on what we promised during our discovery calls and when we're making our sales. And that's why I'm confident that we will hit our goal of 1 million a month by Christmas 2027. If you're winning clients, but you're churning them and you're losing them, or if you're spending all of your time in delivery because you don't yet trust that your team will deliver to the standards that you need to, or you're not sure that your delivery is reliable, if you would say, if it kind of changes, the outcome of it changes per client, or you're in delivery all of the time so you don't have time to sell, then do what we did. Spend some time in your delivery systems as opposed to in the delivery execution. Get the right people in to execute so you can spend that time in the systems. Fix the delivery, fix the systems, fix the engine so that it can't break, and then go back to putting the volume through and putting your sales systems through. It's not to say we stop sales. We absolutely at no point ever did. We've been really lucky. We've always had a really good referral pipeline from our existing clients. And we've also sent emails and we've done outbound, but we just never did it at volume because we didn't want the volume play until we had the engine built to be able to scale with the volume. So if that was useful to you or you're interested in following our journey to 1 million a month, then hit the subscribe button and I'll see you guys next time.